Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into something you probably eat all the time?
But don't know much about.
We're talking about the history of cheese.
It's a longer and more fascinating story than you might think.
And trust me.
You'll be surprised to learn just how far back cheese making goes.
So how far back are we talking exactly? Like, when did people start making cheese?
Well, it all started kind of by accident.
An accident.
Yeah, way back around 8000 BCE.
Wow. Yeah.
Picture early humans storing milk in
Okay.
containers made from animal stomachs. Not exactly the cheese factories we have today, right?
No, not at all. So how did storing milk in stomachs lead to cheese?
It's all thanks to rennet,
Rennet.
a natural enzyme found in animal stomachs.
Oh, interesting.
Rennet causes milk to separate into curds,
Which are
the solid part,
okay.
and whey, the liquid part.
Right.
And boom, you've got the basic ingredients for cheese.
Wow, I never knew that. And is there any proof that they were really making cheese back then?
Oh, yeah. Archaeologists have found these 7,000-year-old clay sieves.
Clay sieves.
Yeah, in places like Poland and Croatia.
Wow.
They were probably used to separate the curds and whey.
So cheese making has been around for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
But when did it become like a popular food?
Well, let's fast forward to ancient Egypt.
Right.
Around 3000 BCE.
Okay.
Cheese was a big deal there. They even depicted cheese making in their tomb murals.
So cheese was like a food fit for pharaohs.
Exactly. And they often included cheese in burials as provisions for the afterlife.
Wow. It must have been a highly valued food.
It was, and this wasn't unique to Egypt.
Really?
Yeah, the ancient Greeks loved cheese too.
Yeah.
Especially cheeses made from goat and sheep milk. Remember Homer's Odyssey?
Of course.
Well, cheese is even mentioned in there.
So cheese is basically a literary icon. I love it.
Ah!
But I have to imagine the Romans,
With their love of food.
exactly, played a part in this cheesy tale too.
They were big on documenting different types of cheese. And, as they expanded their empire,
They spread cheese culture throughout Europe.
I can just imagine Roman soldiers marching with their cheese rations.
Right. A perfect portable snack.
And full of protein, too.
So from accidental beginnings to a food for pharaohs and emperors.
Pretty impressive journey for cheese.
It is. But what happened after the Roman Empire fell?
Did cheese making disappear?
Not at all. In fact, a whole new chapter was about to begin.
Where?
In the quiet halls of medieval monasteries.
Monks and cheese. Now this where it gets really interesting.
Monks became experts in cheese making.
Oh, wow. I guess it makes sense, right? With all their routines and discipline.
But refined techniques and developed so many popular cheese varieties we still have today.
It seems like the perfect activity for monastic life. And I imagine cheese was a really important food back then.
Oh, absolutely. It was a dietary staple during the medieval period.
Especially for those who couldn't afford meat, I'm guessing.
You got it. Cheese provided vital nutrients.
So we've gone from an accidental discovery to food fit for royalty to a monastic staple. Quite a journey. But how did cheese make it to America?
Yeah, good question.
It came over with the European settlers in the 17th century.
They brought their cheese-making traditions with them, I bet.
Exactly. So American cheesemaking has deep roots in European practices.
It's like a continuation of that centuries-old cheese-making legacy.
But of course, with the rise of industrialization in America in the 19th century,
Cheese-making changed.
absolutely, we saw the emergence of cheese factories
Oh, I see.
and a shift towards mass production.
Makes sense. That must have changed the cheese landscape dramatically.
It really did.
It's incredible to see how cheese went from those humble beginnings to this massive global phenomenon.
Isn't it? And today, countries like France, Italy, and Switzerland are famous for their diverse cheese selections.
And France alone has over 1,000 types of cheese. That just blows my mind.
Right. And thanks to modern technology and transportation, cheese production and consumption have spread worldwide.
Speaking of spreading, let's spread some fun cheese facts.
Sounds good. You ready for this? There's a German cheese called Milbenkäse
Milbenkäse.
that uses cheese mites for fermentation.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me there are actual bugs involved?
That's right. They contribute to the cheese's unique flavor.
I think I'll pass on that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, how about this? There's a cheese rolling festival.
A cheese rolling festival.
Yep. In Gloucester, England.
Wow.
Where people literally chase a wheel of cheese down a steep hill.
You're kidding me. That sounds both hilarious and slightly terrifying.
And speaking of kings,
Okay.
Parmigiano Reggiano
Ah, the king of cheese.
was actually used as collateral for loans back in 16th century Italy.
Wow. People have always had a fascination with cheese.
Oh, yeah. And remember that 3,200-year-old cheese they found in that Egyptian tomb back in 2018?
Oh, yeah, the oldest cheese ever found.
It seems our love for cheese is truly timeless.
And speaking of timeless, they sent a French cheese called Comté to the International Space Station in 2020.
Cheese in space.
Who would have thought?
And here's a fun one that might make you think twice about your next cheese plate. Limburger cheese.
Limburger.
That super pungent one.
Yeah.
It gets its smell from the same bacteria that cause body odor.
Ew, really?
Yep. But hey, even Charlemagne loved Roquefort, so I guess people have always had different tastes in cheese.
That's for sure. Oh, I have here one last fun fact before we move on.
Okay, last one. Did you know that the United States is the world's largest cheese producer?
Wow. I had no idea. Well, we've covered a lot of cheesy ground today.
We have, from those accidental beginnings to global domination.
Cheese has come a long way.
It's amazing to see how cheese reflects not just culinary trends, but also social and economic changes throughout history.
You're right. From early discoveries to the influence of monasteries and the rise of mass production, cheese has been shaped by the world around it.
And think about how different cheese varieties are linked to specific regions.
Like how Roquefort, Charlemagne's favorite, tells us about the tastes of his time, but also about how a specific region in France developed its own cheese-making tradition.
Exactly. And when those European settlers brought their cheese-making to America, they weren't just bringing food, they were bringing a piece of their culture.
It's like cheese is woven into the tapestry of history, connecting us to different cultures and times.
And don't forget about its role in social gatherings.
From ancient feasts to modern cheese boards, cheese always brings people together.
It's a shared experience, a conversation starter.
We gather around cheese boards, trying different varieties, debating which one's the best. It's a ritual.
And those preferences, those debates about which cheese is supreme, come from personal experiences and cultural influences.
It's not just about the taste. It's about the memories and emotions we attached to certain cheeses.
Like the cheddar your grandma used to make, or the brie you shared with friends on a special occasion.
Exactly. It's not just food, it's a story.
And speaking of stories, where do you think the story of cheese is headed? What trends do you see emerging?
That's a great question. I think we'll see more interest in plant-based cheese.
For sure.
As people look for sustainable options.
And personalized nutrition. Imagine cheeses tailored to your specific dietary needs.
That would be incredible. It's like science fiction.
And on a more practical level, we'll likely see advancements in aging and storage techniques.
Pushing the boundaries of what cheese can be.
It's an exciting time to be a cheese enthusiast. But enough about us. Let's hear from our listeners.
Ooh, I like this. What should we ask them?
We've explored so much about cheese, the history, culture, trends, even the science.
Right.
But what about the emotional connection?
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
So, dear listener, if you could describe your relationship with cheese in just one word, what would it be?
What a fantastic question. One word to describe your relationship with cheese.
It really makes you think.
It does. It's amazing how a simple food can evoke so many emotions and associations.
It really does make you think, doesn't it?
It does. It's amazing how such a simple food can have such a powerful connection to us.
Absolutely. And, cheese isn't just about personal memories.
Right.
It's played a big part in shaping traditions and rituals across different cultures, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like the cheese course in a traditional French meal.
Exactly.
Or the cheese board that's always the star of the show at holiday gatherings.
Cheese has this way of making special occasions even more special.
Yes.
Adding a touch of elegance and festivity.
It's true.
And it's always a great way to spark conversation and connection.
We've talked a lot about the history and the present of cheese.
Right.
But I'm really curious about the future.
Yeah.
What innovations or trends do you think will shape the world of cheese in the coming years?
Well, I think we'll definitely see a rise in plant-based cheeses.
Oh, interesting.
As people look for more sustainable and alternative food options.
Makes sense. It's exciting to see how food technology is evolving to meet those needs.
Absolutely. And I'm also really intrigued by the potential of personalized nutrition.
Personalized nutrition?
Nutrition.
For cheese?
Yeah. Imagine being able to create cheese based on your own specific dietary needs and preferences.
Wow, that would be incredible. Like a cheese that's perfectly tailored to you.
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Yeah.
And on a more practical note,
Yeah.
I think we'll continue to see advancements in cheese aging and storage techniques.
Leading to even more refined flavors and textures.
Exactly. It's definitely an exciting time to be a cheese lover.
It is. So we've talked about cheese from all these different angles.
The history, the culture, the trends, even the science.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. But now it's time to hear from our listeners.
Ooh, I like it. What should we ask them?
Well, we've explored so much about cheese.
Yeah.
But what about that emotional connection?
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
So, dear listener, we want to hear from you. If you could describe your relationship with cheese in just one word.
One word.
Yeah, just one word.
Okay.
What would it be?
Just one word. That's a tough one. But it really does make you think about your own personal connection to cheese.
It does. It's fascinating how a simple food can evoke such a range of feelings and memories.
You know, this whole journey through the history and culture of cheese has been incredible.
It really has.
From those accidental beginnings to all those amazing traditions.
And the sheer variety of cheese out there.
It's clear that cheese is so much more than just something we eat.
It really is. It's a story.
A cultural icon.
A source of endless fascination.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure exploring all things cheese with you.
The pleasure was all mine.
And of course, with all of our amazing listeners out there.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of cheese.
We really do. And we hope you'll keep exploring all the amazing cheeses out there.
Keep tasting, keep discovering.
And hey, if you're feeling really adventurous,
why not try making your own cheese?
You might just discover a hidden talent.
Oh.
So as we wrap up this cheesy adventure,
we want to leave you with one final thought.
We've talked about cheese as a food, as a symbol, as a scientific marvel.
But at its heart, cheese is really all about connection.
It connects us to the past, to different cultures,
and to each other.
So the next time you enjoy a piece of cheese,
take a moment to appreciate not just the taste,
but also all the stories it holds.
And remember, whether your relationship with cheese is cheesy, passionate, or simply delicious,
there's a whole world of cheese out there waiting to be discovered.